All right, so this is lesson 4.8.1. And this is on quadratic formula. Today is January 2nd. It's period 2. So this is the third method we're learning to solve quadratic equations. So first we learned solving quadratic equations by factoring, and then we learned solving quadratic equations by taking square roots. And this is the third method, the quadratic formula. Not all quadratics can be solved using the first two methods, but all of them can be solved using this method. You do not need to memorize this formula. For my class, you do not need to memorize this formula. However, it is traditional that students have this formula memorized. So what that means to you is if you're going to take a higher level math class after this one, any professor that you have will expect that you have this memorized. So if you intend to take higher level math classes, you should memorize this. All right, so here's my first problem. And in order to use this formula, the equation has to be set equal to 0 first. Go ahead, write it down. Yeah. All right, so we've got my problem number 1 that has to be set equal to 0. You could either move everything to the left or everything to the right. We can't have stuff on both sides of the equal sign. So just like before, we prefer the leading coefficient, that would be the one that has the power of 2, to be a positive coefficient. So this is a positive 1x squared where it is right now. I don't want to move it because I don't want to change it to be negative. So that means everything that's on the right has to get moved. So I'm going to take this 10x, I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides. And then I'm going to rewrite this in standard form. So x squared comes down, nothing is like with that. And then negative 10x, nothing is like with that. And then negative 13. Oh, that's not a 13. Equals 0. So for this problem, what's the value of a? 1. What's the value of b? Negative 10. What's the value of c? Negative 13. That's 13. All right, so I'm going to plug those formulas, those numbers into the formula. So that's x equals negative, and then where b is, I'm putting negative 10. Plus and minus the square root of b squared. So b again is negative 10. Minus 4 times a is 1, times c, which is negative 13, all over 2 times a, which is 1. And then this has to be put in the simplest form. All right, so the negative 10 becomes positive 10. Plus and minus, and then anything underneath the square root has to get simplified. So negative 10 to the power of 2 becomes 100. So I've got a negative times a positive times a negative. So if there are two negatives, they cancel each other and become a positive. So this is going to become a plus. So 4 times 13 is 52. All over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so now inside the radical, I've got to add those two numbers together. So it's 10 plus and minus the square root of 152 over 2.
Oh my god, why is there so much?
Just to make you crazy.
This
The
is
radical has to be in simplest form. So I'm taking my 152. I'm looking for a factor of 152 that's a perfect square. It's a 4. I didn't know that when I woke up this morning, but in period 1 I figured that out. Okay? So 4 times 38 make 152. I used the calculator to figure that out. Okay? 38 is only divisible by 2 and 19, so 38 can't be simplified. So that's going to be my way to simplify the radical. So I've got 10 plus and minus, and now this is going to be the square root of 4 times the square root of 38, all over 2. Square root of 4 is 2. And then there's a 2 on the denominator, so if both of those terms on the top can be divided by 2, I'm going to simplify that. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then 2 divided by 2 cancels, just bring down the 38. So this is considered to be the simplest form.
All of that for that?
Mm-hmm, for real. Yep.
That's so aggy.
Here's the next one. Should I walk you through another one?
Yes.
This is some bull. So what's the value of A?
1.
This problem is already in standard form because it's set equal to 0. So I don't have to set it equal to 0 first. What's B?
-1.
What's C?
1.
Alright, I'm going to write the formula because I have it memorized. X equals negative B plus or minus square root B squared minus 4AC all over 2. Okay. So negative. And then where B is, I'm going to do -4. Plus or minus the square root of -4 squared over 4, not over, -4 times 1 times 1 all over 2 times 1.
Holy moly.
All right, and we're going to simplify. So the negative becomes positive. Inside the radical, -4 squared is 16. So here there's only one negative. We don't have two negatives to cancel out, so this is going to be a subtract here. 4 times 1 is 4. On the bottom, 2 times 1 is 2. Now inside the radical, I can subtract. So 16 12 are a perfect square?
3 and 4.
4, good. So that becomes square root of 4 times square root of 3. The square root of 4 is 2. And then 2 can go into both of those two terms, so 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 cancels, bring down the radical 3, that's the answer. I'm not going to have enough time to squeeze this third problem into this recording. So let me stop the recording and I'll do the next problem on a different period.